It's over. The 25-26 Premier League season is done. Arsenal wrapped up the season on the final day, lifting the Premier League trophy at Selhurst Park after a 2-1 win. And I'm going to be honest, straight off the bat, this isn't going to be like a normal, match review where I do some in-depth, analysis of the game and then go to the player ratings and all that. Because I'll be real, I didn't really pay close attention to the game. There was a lot else going on. It was the final day of the season. Unless there was something to play for, you never really pay massive attention, and I haven't had the opportunity to watch the game back. And I probably won't, because, what is there to take from that, really? I'll just sort of use this video. I'll go into it a bit, and then I'll just sort of use this video to touch on all the other games that happened yesterday and just talk about the season overall and maybe just glaze this team a bit more. So I guess let's get into it. 2-1 win at Selhurst Park. We went 1-0 up in the first half from Gabriel Jesus. I guess I'll talk about the lineup first. I was really happy with the team that he picked. I wasn't expecting to see Zubamendi at right back. When I saw the lineups, I initially thought it was Mosquera right back, Norgard centre back, Zubi in midfield. Because that's just what we've seen before. We've seen Norgard play centre back, we've seen Mosquera at right back, we haven't seen Zubamendi at right back. So I thought, what was going to happen? It did kind of alternate a little bit. Like, these three kind of just rotated. But this is what it was for the majority of the game, at least from what I noticed. Unfortunately, we did have to start Nkapie and Calafiori, but luckily enough, Calafiori only had to play a half. And then we brought Gabriel on, put some minutes in the legs of other players. One thing I was really happy with, though, was Gabriel Jesus starting. He's the only player that played today that I am 100% sure won't be at the club next season. Like, probably Martinelli or Trossard will leave. I don't know who. Maybe we don't get rid of one of them. Whereas Gabriel Jesus, I know, is definitely going to be leaving at the end of the season. So I really wanted to see him start, especially because his first game for Arsenal, which started at this whole era of us competing for league titles, was at Selhurst Park. And that's when he put in a great performance, dazzled, amazed us, didn't score, but that's when we knew the player we had. And obviously what he did in the first half of that season was absolutely incredible before the knee injury at the World Cup. So I was very happy that he started, and I was so happy he got his goal. Didn't play amazingly, missed a few decent opportunities, but got his goal in the first half. I was happy. Martinelli, another one I acknowledge could leave. I thought he had a decent performance. Obviously got the assist for the first goal. So if these two leave, they both started that game, almost 4 years ago now at Selhurst Park. I thought Dalman and Lewis Skelly were good. Lewis Skelly, I would say, was probably man of the match, or maybe even Madueke. Yeah, he was one of the only players who's actually been starting for Arsenal recently. Him and Calafiori there, and I guess Mosquera too, but he was out of position. That actually did end up starting this game. And then there's not really that much to take from this. I thought we were okay. We had some nice patterns of play. Obviously went 2-0 up, almost conceded again, but the Pino goal, although it actually ended up coming off Gessan, and that's why it got disallowed. Obviously that goal didn't count. Honestly, that is genuinely all I really have to say about this game. I guess we could talk about the post-match stuff. I thought Palace were just really classy overall. It's the first time I've really watched the end-of-season awards for another club, like that whole thing. Obviously Glasner, Parish, both congratulated us. I thought, that the fans clapped us onto the pitch. Like, they were just really classy, Crystal Palace, and I do rate them as a club, definitely. If we were going to win the league away from home at a stadium, in terms of like the reception we'd get, the best would probably be Crystal Palace, because we do have good business with them over the years. They gave us Eze, we gave them players that probably haven't really served them as well. But yeah, I thought it was classy. And then the trophy lift, I mean, yeah, that was just special, man. Seeing all those trophy picks, watching all those players lift up that trophy. Yeah, it was special, man. It doesn't actually sink in until you see it. Like, obviously I knew we'd won the league, but the feeling, like, when you see them with the trophy, it's like, holy shit, we've actually won the league. It doesn't feel like you've won the league until you actually hold the trophy. And yeah, it was remarkable. I've got fucking dozens of pictures on my camera roll that I just been looking through. It's just incredible, man. But yeah, really, that's it. Maybe I'll talk about Arsenal overall later in the video, but that's all I really have for this game. It was just a bit of a party. But let's look around the rest of the Premier League, because the main talking point is the relegation battle. Obviously, Tottenham, or both sides winning. Tottenham beating Everton 1-0, West Ham beating Leeds 3-0. The Tottenham game was the other game that I was primarily looking at, because that was what the goal rush was showing. Seemed like they had a pretty good performance, scored in the first half. And then West Ham's 3-0 win just wasn't enough. And look, I expected Tottenham to stay up. It was probably, the game that I realised they were going to stay up was probably the Villa game, and then West Ham's loss to Newcastle sealed it. I know that Tottenham losing to Chelsea pushed it to the final day, but yeah, it didn't. It was never really going to go any different than that. I actually thought that both teams would drop points. I thought Spurs would lose and West Ham wouldn't capitalise, but that's not what ended up happening. Both teams got the win. And look, everyone's going to be talking about Tottenham's... Everyone's been talking for so long about, how embarrassing it would be if Tottenham go down, and they're still going to be talking about how the fact that they were in this predicament is, an absolute disgrace considering the amount of money they have and spend. But I do think we can't forget about how poor it is the West Ham have been relegated, because that was a team that was actually consistently playing in Europe a couple of years ago. Got rid of David Moyes because they thought they were too big for him, and have spent so much money, horrifically, have signed so many failed players. Max Kilman, Castellanos has been okay. He wasn't even that expensive. But, they've just had, flop after flop after flop, and they've gone down, and they fully deserve it. As much as I would have liked to see, Tottenham go down, and it's not even just a tribalism thing, just most neutrals would have wanted to see a club of Tottenham stature in the Championship. I don't feel sorry for West Ham, the club, at all. Obviously, I feel for the fans, because, no one should... I can't imagine what it would be like to be relegated. But I don't feel sorry for that club at all. And look, if you look at Tottenham's season, they finished on 41 points. 40 points is usually enough to keep you up. So, whilst you could say, they got a bit lucky because West Ham disgraced themselves, at the end of the day, you've got to be a pretty disgraceful club to go down. So, yeah, I mean, congrats to Tottenham for staying up, I guess. Let's just see how they can build on that next season. I saw that Romero was actually in attendance. It seems like he was just bullied into going to the game, because if he had gone to watch his local team in Argentina when Tottenham's survival was on the line, it would have been pretty embarrassing, pretty poor from him, but he ended up staying. What else can we look at in the table? Aston, if we start from the top and work our way down, obviously City, with a defeat in Pep's final game. They're sending off a few people, actually. Pep Guardiola's final game is the main talking point, but also Bernardo Silva and John Stones. I saw the standing ovation Bernardo Silva got. Yeah, that's pretty classy from the Villa fans or from the Villa players, I should say, to be involved in that. But yeah, both teams heavily rotated because Villa are still partying from their Europa League win. City have nothing to play for. I wasn't expecting Pep to do that many rotations, because they're not exactly celebrating anything, and they've not got any big games. I guess you could still say they're celebrating their FA Cup win. And I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I saw that Foden scored a goal that got disallowed because his ass was offside. Credit to Watkins for picking up the brace. He's probably hungover, still managed to do it. And yeah, I think that's a league double for Villa over City, which is very interesting. And yeah, look, I don't think City fans will really care. It would have been nice to get a win to send off those three club legends, but again, pretty meaningless game. All it meant, literally all this game meant, is that Bournemouth were denied Champions League football, but then it actually didn't mean that because Liverpool didn't even get their win. So if Liverpool had beaten Brentford, which I'll actually go to that game next while we're on the topic of players' farewell, because Salah and Robertson both got a farewell. But yeah, Liverpool unable to beat Brentford at home just sums up what has been an absolutely terrible season for Liverpool. They were heavy favourites going into the season after they won the league last year and, you know, had the summer that they did, bringing in guys like Wirtz, Ekitike, Isak, and what's interesting enough, and obviously there's injuries, so it's not all down to form. Like, who was even on the bench? Yeah, Isak was the only one on the bench. No, there was a few. So my point still kind of stands that I think it's really telling that Liverpool, their final game of the season, a year later, none of the new signings are playing. None of them are starting. And look, it's a bit facetious because, you know, Isak, Wirtz, Frimpong, Herkes have all had injury issues, and then you're going to want to start Robertson in his farewell game. So I'm kind of rage baiting a bit, but I just think it's pretty funny. Actually, I think a lot of the new signings have been some of Liverpool's shining lights this season. I'll make, probably over the weekend maybe, or maybe not over the weekend, but I will make a video sort of just reviewing the Premier League season, and I'll put out a bit of content about, you know, the team of the season and reviewing every team and how they went, giving them a grade, stuff like that, and I'll get a bit more in depth into how Liverpool season's been. But overall, I think the new signings have been actually some of the shining lights for them. So yeah, again, pretty meaningless game. Since Brentford weren't able to get the win, it means that they are denied European football, as Brighton's defeat to United didn't matter. If they'd gotten smashed, the goal difference could have been overturned, and then Sunderland, I think they would have needed a Sunderland and Chelsea to draw. If that game was a draw, then oh no, they still wouldn't have got it. So yeah, Brentford had to win, basically. They weren't able to. Look, despite the fact they're not in Europe, it's still been an excellent season from Brentford. Just, you know, not the best run of form at the end of the season, but yeah, I mean, considering that I, along with many other people, had them getting relegated, fair play. I guess we'll have to get to the United game. 3-0 win at Brighton. I thought Brighton would probably put in a bit more of a fight with Europe on the line, and United aren't really playing for anything, but they got Europe anyway. They got Conference League, so it didn't matter in the end. And yeah, Bruno Fernandes, the fan voted player of the season. We'll see if he wins the PFA one. I think he probably will. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Bruno Fernandes. I personally would have given it to a couple of players over him. But you gotta respect him. I'm not mad that he won it because he broke the assist record, for God's sake. And look, say what you want, I actually don't know if it should be an assist. It looks like it touched the goalkeeper and the crossbar at about the same time. So I think if, like, maybe it touched the crossbar a millisecond early, and I think to deny him of a record, it would be like putting the agenda and the hatred aside. It would be pretty sad if that's the way he gets denied. For looks of things, Dorgu had a decent game. He's the one that obviously helped Bruno break the record. It was good. It was nice. Obviously, United fans would like that he was able to get a goal as well. And yeah, that's it. United and what has actually been a pretty good season, considering where they were in the sort of late stages under Amorim. I think in, like, was it November or December, around that time. The fact that they are able to lock in Champions League football quite early, and then the funny thing is, finish as close to City as City finished to Arsenal. Literally 7 points here, 7 points here. It's actually kind of crazy how the table ended, considering that a month ago, people thought that it was a two-horse race between Arsenal and City and we had bottled it. City were as close to a team that wasn't even in the race at all. Which, look, if I'm being honest, it probably should end up that way considering how it was looking earlier in the season. Don't know if we necessarily deserved it, but it is what it is. We take it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just glad that we hit 85 points because 85, the difference between 82 and 85 just looks so much bigger. Because if you're at 82, the argument will be, oh, well, you've just barely cracked 80. That's so poor. Whereas 85, you're like the mid-80s. If you think, oh, you know, if we got a couple more points, we could have been pushing 90. But I don't know. It doesn't mean anything. A league title is a league title. And at least we cracked 70 goals, which if we had won the league without scoring 70 goals, would have been hilarious. All right. What else is there to talk about, really? Let's go just look at the fixtures. This game is very interesting. Sunderland beating Chelsea, which means that they pit them to European football. Now, I actually knew Sunderland were going to win this game. I had a feeling Sunderland were going to win. I just think Chelsea have been absolutely horrid. You beat a dog shit Spurs team at home and arguably got outplayed in that game. Yeah, nah. Chelsea got a red card. They've another one. They've got one less red card than in the Premier League than they have clean sheets. They've got more red cards in all competitions than they have Premier League clean sheets. Just sums up their season. Failing to qualify for Europe is an absolute disaster. It's the second time that it's happened in 4 years under this ownership, and it's the third time in 4 years that they've not only failed to get Champions League football, but also failed to get Europa League. They've missed it 3 times, gotten Conference League, and then they had that one season last year where they were able to have a half-decent year and get Champions League football. So yeah, we all know that Chelsea have been an absolute disaster under Clearlake. And look, I'm seeing some Chelsea fans cope and say it just means that it'll help us in the league, and under Alonso we're gonna push for top 4, we're gonna get it easily. The fact that a club as big as Chelsea, who in November were dreaming of league titles, the fact that you are defending a 10th place finish with no trophies, it's embarrassing, man. It's poor. Like, I remember before that game against Arsenal, which... When was that game? Was that in, like... When was that game? I think it was in, like, November or something. That's for me. November. So it was the last day of November. If they had won that game, I think they would have gone top of the league. We finished 33 points ahead of them. I wonder how many points they've gotten versus us since that game. It would be fucking insane. Although they did go on a good run right after that game. So maybe you go from December onwards. I'd have to have a look at that. But I mean, Sunderland, look, I was one of the doubters. I had them getting relegated. I knew, I rated some of the signings. I knew Xhaka would do good for them, but I don't know. I didn't think they had it in them. And not only did they stay up comfortably, but they got Europa League football. Granit Xhaka loves that tournament, bro. He played in it for so many years at Arsenal. The second we got Champions League football, he left. Got to a final with Leverkusen. And now in his first year at Sunderland as a newly promoted team, Champions League football. Yeah, absolutely insane. Full credit to him. He's been one of the best midfielders in the league this season, and I'm so happy for him because even when he was having his rough patches at Arsenal before that final season, I always liked Granit Xhaka. I always thought he was a good player, and yeah, so happy for him that he is getting and so happy for the Sunderland fans as well. I mean, they've gotten European football. They've finished. What is it? How far above Newcastle did they finish? They finished 5 places above Newcastle, doing the double over them and getting European football. Incredible. Genuinely, I don't think even the most optimistic Sunderland fans couldn't have dreamt of this season. Congratulations to Sunderland. And yeah, Chelsea, I know you rate the Alonso signing, and I rate Alonso as a manager, but your ownership is going to have to lock in or piss off, because I don't think Alonso can carry this team to where they want to be if he doesn't get the adequate backing. Yeah, I mean, if you look at this squad, it needs reinforcements in multiple areas of the pitch. Alright, and then who else do we want to touch on, really? This is a pretty meaningless game. Obviously, the battle for 19th, Burnley managed to get 19th, which if they had finished 20th, considering the form Wolves were in first half of the season. Would have been poor for Burnley or a good achievement for Wolves. Doesn't matter either way. I guess the only other thing is Bournemouth, obviously securing 6th place, which could have been Champions League football if the other results went their way, but any form of European football, again, this is even more insane than the Sunderland one, because Bournemouth, I know Sunderland are a way bigger club than Bournemouth, considering where they were a decade ago. Like, what they've done is absolutely remarkable. Obviously, Iraola leaving. Interesting to see where he goes and how Bournemouth do next season without him, because I think he's a massive reason to their success. And then what? I think that's it. I think I've touched on every game. Yeah, that's it. Don't really have anything else to say except for this. The Premier League. It's over now. This is the final table. Arsenal champions after 38 games. Oh, I guess I'll show you. Look, there's been a lot of talk about the standard of the Premier League and how the football is terrible. Most Arsenal fans are going to say that it's all bullshit because we won the league. And look, if you want to defend the club, it's not really defending the club. It's more trying to disprove the agenda against the club. But I really value good football. Like, I want to watch good football. And I would agree with that. I think the overall quality of the football that has been played in this league has been poor, right? I think all the long balls, set pieces, the lack of quality attackers in this league. I think a lot of it is due to elite defensive systems, which is why those teams do so well in Europe. You can't score against them. But look, it's still been poor. But one thing I will say is it has been fun. Like, this is what, I wasn't around for Prime Barclays, but this is what they mean when they talk about Prime Barclays. They hear people say, oh, Prime Barclays is so overrated, the football was crap, but it was entertaining. There were storylines. I mean, look at the storylines this season. Arsenal breaking a 22-year Premier League title drought after finishing second 3 years in a row. Liverpool spending all that money finishing 5th. Bournemouth and Sunderland in Europe. Sunderland newly promoted. Bournemouth, who one of, if not the smallest club in the league. Brighton are among them as well. You've got Chelsea missing out on European football. You've got Tottenham and West Ham in a relegation battle. You've got Leeds, the season that they've had. Newcastle, the downfall that they've had. You've got so many storylines. And it's just been so open. I mean, look at this, right? 40 points usually guarantees you survival. Tottenham, if West Ham had won one of these 3 games, could have gone down with 41 points. And the top of the table, I remember an Arsenal team. Hang on, let me check. Here, 2018, right? We finished on. Oh, no, it's not this year. It's 2017. 2017, we got 75 points and missed out on Champions League football. 75 points. You go to this season, 75 points would have us 3 points off City. And again, not saying that team is as good as City, but it just shows how competitive the league is. It is so hard to win games of football in the Premier League. So whilst you can say that, none of the top teams were good, which, look, I don't think they're as good as they have been, but you can also say that that winning a Premier League title, that finding consistency in this Premier League has never been harder. There is not a single guaranteed result in the Premier League. I mean, I'll give you us for an example. Arsenal finished top of the league, Wolves finished bottom. You could argue we got outplayed by Wolves in both games that we played them. We beat them 2-1 at home with 2 own goals, and then we bottled a 2-0 lead at the Molineux. Mental stuff. Genuinely crazy stuff right there. No, look, call me biased because we won it. But I think looking back at this season, people are going to enjoy it. People are going to they're going to look back more fondly than they think of it now. They're going to think of it now, they're going to just remember the dog shit football. Whereas you're not going to remember that in 10 years. In 10 years, you're going to remember Sunderland coming up from the Championship and getting European football. If you're an Arsenal fan, you're not going to remember the fact that we only scored 71 goals and almost half of them were from corners. What you're going to remember is the fact that we won our first league title in 22 years. So look, I've hated on the season, you've hated on the season, but it was pretty entertaining. Like there was some cracking games. Even if the quality wasn't there, it's been unpredictable as shit. Look, I'd love it if every team in the league could play beautiful football and it could still be competitive. But the league's always going to evolve over time, and sometimes you just got to appreciate what you have. But yeah, that's it. Arsenal, we are Premier League champions. I know we have been for like almost a week now, but the season's done. Yeah, and we could celebrate for now, but we've got a Champions League final to look forward to. I'll obviously do some content for that. We've got end of season stuff coming up, World Cup, and then I'll see you next season. After all that, that's ages away, but it'll come faster than we all think. Come on, you Gunners.